And we're back. We didn't even plan that. It's always so perfect.
Well, we kind of planned it.
Yeah.
But we do like doing that because it makes you feel like
known
you're
each
on
other
TV.
enough that you just can look at each other and know what you're going to do.
Pretty much.
Well, yeah, we're back for the next episode with our buddy Francisco
Gonzalez.
Francisco Gonzalez.
So next thing we wanted to talk about.
Well, he doesn't look like a Francisco Gonzalez, just to be fair. I
get that all the time. No offense.
I mean, I know that's your name. I believe you.
Mm-hmm.
But I just got to say that. Go ahead, ask your question. Sorry. I had to put that out there.
I think he looks like a Francisco
Well, my
Gonzalez.
dad, look, here's the thing. My dad's from Cuba, right? So I'm half Cuban. My mother is not. She was born actually not too far from here in Chattanooga.
Nice.
And when she was like 2 years old, her family moved to Florida. So I kind of say that's my cracker side, and then I got my Cuban side, so I'm like a Cuban cracker. But I also have to say,
you could probably sell those.
Yeah. Oh, they do sell those
Cuban crackers.
Yeah, it's great food. Sometimes I picked up a Cuban cracker and say, "This is like me," And
nice. I like it.
But also, I should say,
oh my gosh.
So I get my dad's name, my dad's name from being Cuban.
You got his dad jokes as well, didn't you?
And then I get my mom's good looks. That's what I like to say.
Okay.
Nice.
We won't say anything back to that.
I like it. I like it. Hambone had a question. Sorry, I interrupted you.
As we chart our course.
But
you'll understand what that means in a minute.
John's wincing. I love it.
Don't look at me like that, John. Gosh, he's always glaring at me. All right. We're moving forward. Okay, so Francisco, we wanted to also talk about your podcast. So, what is your podcast? What's it all about? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so it's Agents of Innovation, and again, I kind of came up with it because there was 3 types of people I was interacting with a lot. When I go back, starting it now about 7 years ago, entrepreneurs, philanthropists, and artists. And I tried to figure out, what's the combination of all these people. And I finally came out to the point that these people are all innovators. So I called them Agents of Innovation. Yeah. And but really, I started it because I was having so many conversations through the kind of line of work I was doing. I was in fundraising. I was meeting with a lot of business people who would possibly be donors to organizations I was involved with, and also I was on some boards of charities. I was also on a charity board of a music festival called Rock by the Sea. It was like a small charity music festival, and we had a lot of independent artists that would perform. And then I would get to know those independent artists, and I started thinking, these people are entrepreneurs too. They are selling their talent, they're marketing themselves.
Absolutely.
They're going from, they're hustling from gig to gig, and it was really cool. And they're super talented people. And so I was like, how do I put all these people together? So that's how I did it. And it's been great. I'm 112 episodes in or something like that.
I was gonna say, I just watched 111, and I was like, man, can't wait till we're at
all
111. That feels cool,
Yeah, it's all sorts of professions, and so it's a lot of fun meeting all these people.
So
well, first of all, I should say, when I started, a lot of people I knew, I'd already met, I already interacted with, and I was like, man, I already 20, 30 people I could have on like that.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know how many episodes I was gonna have.
Right.
And here I am 7 years later still doing it. It's really enjoyable.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
That's awesome. Podcasts are definitely, we love what we do as well. It's a great way to communicate, your message, but also just grow an audience that gets to know you really well.
Yeah.
The Instagram can be so short, TikTok, all that stuff can be so short and quick. And if you don't post anything personal, then your audience is never going to get to know you. But in a 30-minute, hour-long podcast, you can't help but know, at least feel the vibe of that person. So,
right. Yeah, and the other cool thing is once you get rolling and you get past the people people start making recommendations. Also, you get a little bolder of invitations that people you want to invite that maybe love to have a conversation with that guy. Oh my gosh, he said yes. Like if I didn't have a podcast, I'd never have that conversation. And it's also a long form, right? It's like an hour or something, and it's great. So that's great. I will say about 4 or 5 of my podcasts I've had over cigars.
Nice.
The first couple were just my guests were cigar smokers too, so we did them in cigar lounges. And then I've had I think 3 of cigar lounge owners who have been on the podcast. So
that's awesome.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
What do you think is the biggest benefit of Agents of Innovation in your eyes? Biggest benefit for your community of followers?
Like the biggest benefit of the podcast?
Yeah, just as a broad question.
Yeah, I mean, I really just think for a listener, I think it's incredible, the stories. Like it's just what we've been talking about. Like I really, again, I position all my questions and as trying to help you understand that person's journey, and it's really great what comes out of it, what people learn. Again, I have people from all different professions, so sometimes I'm just sitting there talking. You know who you need to meet or whatever. Now I can say, you know what, I just have an episode. You can listen to this person, and so it's I think just getting to understand somebody's journey is the really great thing, and it's inspiring. I mean, I do it to just I've met these people. I want you to meet like inspiring people that I've met. Here's a podcast where you can, hear about them for an hour. And by the way, what I did with the community was I went back to most of the people that have been on my podcast and I invited them to be a featured innovator in the Fearless Journeys community. So like half the podcast guests said yes. I haven't even got to asking all of them yet because I was kind of busy building the community.
Right.
But I keep adding more people to it, and what you do now, you might listen to the podcast, where you can join the community to actually directly connect. So every month, a different innovator leads one of our group coaching sessions. Also, we do a monthly book club, and so I sometimes I have the author of the book on the Zoom that you after you're done reading the book as a community. You can then maybe be on the Zoom with the author. If I don't have the author, I have somebody like Matt Thomas I mentioned earlier. He recommended The Alchemist. That was the first book I used in the community, and I said, Matt, I want you to come on and what they typically do is not just talk about the book, but talk about the themes of the book and then how they can help you as part of the person in the community.
Yeah.
Really use the lessons from that book to apply to your own life.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So
That is
what's
awesome.
really cool is that it all
That-
started as
yeah.
a podcast. That's now an interactive community. So it's more than a podcast. And I've been really blessed to have amazing guests who then stepped up and said, "Yeah, I'll be a featured innovator."
Yeah,
Great.
that is really cool. Maybe I feel like I'm sitting here trying to think how we can tie like all right our community. Obviously, like we reach out to our community all the time. We're out there for cigar education, cigar beginners, so people don't have to be so intimidated. I'm sure. Do you remember the first time you walked into a cigar lounge? Well, you may not remember the
yeah.
exact moment,
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
but you definitely
I was
lied your butt
intimidated.
off, right?
Huh?
And,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
You feel stupid.
You walk in and
Yeah.
you're like, they're like, well, what do you like to smoke? And you're like, oh, well,
The darkest.
that
fattest
one,
cigar.
well, that one was a little okay, but that one over there, and you have no idea what you're talking about. And we've tried to reach out to our community, and we've had a lot of people come back and say, wow, like I'd love to learn, I'd love to get into it, and we're trying to build that thing as well. So that's really cool to see. 7 years in, all that sort of stuff that the community is building, all that, because that leaves us a little hope on our journey, right?
Yeah.
On our
Well,
journey.
I'll tell you what I really
to be fearless,
I really feel like I don't know. You guys started this about a year ago. I don't know, somewhere 6 months, a year ago. I came across
a year
it,
ago, yeah.
Yep.
and I don't know if I saw it on Instagram first and then migrated over to YouTube. But I think what you guys are doing are great. Everything from the full episode to the little short stuff you do on Instagram and stuff, because it's so educational, even for somebody like me who has smoked cigars, 10 or 12 years now, and kind of getting more into it even more in the last couple of years. I learned so much from you guys, and also it's fun.
That's really good to hear, because that's
It is.
exactly what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So to hear that from
we
someone
are here
like you,
to
that's awesome.
educate
Yeah.
and to
And also, I use a lot of your I share because people are always asking me about cigars, and I'll be like, oh, there's a clip here that you should watch or something, especially when you're talking about when you're first starting or things like that.
That's
Right.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for that. Appreciate all the shares. Speaking of cigars, what are you guys thinking of these Founder cigars over here?
We do need to review these.
We gotta give a little check. See how you're feeling. I'm usually a little further along, which
Adam is always further
I can't
along.
believe that.
is
in his
Maybe I've been
cigar.
talking too much.
pretty well. I haven't been smoking too fast because I don't have too much of a volcano going on. So I haven't been smoking too fast this one.
Yeah. Okay.
This
Well,
is
he's
actually
always-
a pretty good cigar. I mean, it's a Connecticut wrapper. What is the I don't know the logistics of this Franklin, but it seems like kind of a medium strength.
It's definitely medium to light.
Yeah.
Medium to light. The Connecticut's, it's not 100%. Guys, everybody that'll say like he's smoking a Connecticut, I'm smoking a Maduro. This one's gonna kill me. That one's gonna be like nothing. That's not a blanket statement, but it is a statement that you can usually just trust. Now there are some Connecticut's. I know there's some Connecticut's in the Ashton line that looks like that, but it's got some double Ajero filler that's just gonna knock you on your butt.
Wow.
And I feel like that they should just stick to the colors being light to dark. It makes sense to me.
Yeah,
like,
that makes
but
most sense.
people like to stir the pot, so
Would this be
sometimes-
counted as Connecticut?
Well, that would be a mix. I
Just a
would feel
mix,
like.
I
I mean,
guess?
Yeah.
it's an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper with an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper. So it's Habano Connecticut. So it's probably medium bodied.
Nice.
Nice.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, I don't even know what that was.
That
Is
was
it-
my my accent just coming
So
out.
you're George
Accent
Washington?
of what? Is that your George
It was
Washington?
just one of my accents, man.
Just one of
Just
them.
let it go.
I love it. I love it.
A lot.
Well, how are you feeling about this pairing?
I like it. I think
Feeling
I
like
need to
it's
smoke the
matching
glass.
the Buffalo Trace?
I think I need to smoke the glass to get the full.
Hembone's gonna
get the
smoke
full
the glass.
flavor out of
Have
it.
you ever
I've
smoked
never
the glass?
smoked a glass.
Oh,
we gotta teach.
Francisco, we gotta
teach
do this.
Francisco.
We gotta do this.
All right. I'll
so
explain
you,
it.
you explain.
That's,
Well, I
it.
do-
That's what we do. Go ahead. I'll explain it while he's doing it. So, you take a couple puffs, get a good smoke going, and then you just let it slowly roll out of the glass,
That's
roll
like a
into the
professional
glass,
over there.
and then you'll be so shocked
Wow.
how it changes the taste. Just like if you have a smoked
Yeah,
smoked bourbon
thinking
or
when I've had that.
smoked old fashioned, all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. It changes that taste so much. So
Let's see
let's see if Francisco can pull this off. Let's see it. He's got the smoke going. We got. You do the drum roll. Not bad. Not bad.
That's
for
pretty
the
good
first
for the
smoke.
first
It was
time.
in Logan, Greg. but
Yeah. You know.
That was pretty good for the first time. So
Mhm.
what we usually tell people is we get the bottom lip on the edge,
And tilt it.
and then just from the top of the lip, just let it fall in. Just kind of like open your mouth and just let it fall in.
Okay, I got you. Just drift out.
Like molasses.
I kind of blew it out.
Yeah.
But,
But no, I got a lot of flavor out of that.
You're getting a good
lot of-
pairing
A lot
here.
of oakiness. I think I tasted some cabinet. That was really good cabinet.
Yeah, fresh
know.
out of the store.
Fresh out of the store from
Nice.
Home Depot.
Home Depot or Lowe's? Yeah.
Home Depot on this one.
Little Home Depot
Yeah.
would would taste it.
Pretty solid.
So Francisco, when it comes to getting tasting notes, where are you on
When
that
it getting
spectrum?
what?
Tasting notes out of a cigar. All right, I feel like
It's an art form that
it's an art form,
get all of
and I feel like it's a myth that I know there's people that can, because we met Oscar Rodriguez. Well, we didn't meet him, but we talked to him the other day, and he was telling me that he smoked this one cigar and he could tell that it was that the binder in the
Mm.
cigar from the specific valley was underaged.
He could tell that. I was.
He was like, you
I thought
should
he
have
was
let it.
lying.
amazing.
He was smoking with a guy. I'm not going
That's
to
the
name
level
any
I want to
names.
get to.
Oh my gosh. I don't even
So,
know if
this
that's a
valley-
gift. I feel like that's
That's yeah.
he's a third generation cigar brand owner, so I feel like that just comes with the territory maybe. I don't know.
He was
I have no
born
idea.
knowing that stuff.
So
He
by the
had
way,
to.
speaking of that, I told you my dad's from Cuba, right? My dad was
Mhm.
born in Havana. When he was 7 years old, he came
Wow.
to the U.S. But what's cooler,
Nice.
Very cool.
cooler than dad, his grandfather, my abuelo, my Cuban
Nice,
grandfather,
uh-huh.
he was born in Pinar del Rio, with the western tobacco area of Cuba. And I'm reading more about that area, and that area is the mother lode of the center point of all cigar tobacco in the
Wow.
world, right? And I'm thinking, oh, that's where my grandfather was born. He lived there for the first 18 years of his life.
He was smoking
He's no
cigars for
longer
sure.
with us, but he was a pipe smoker for a long time. I think my dad told me he wasn't really a big cigar guy. Probably had an occasional one, but anyway, so that's
You-
kind of cool that
yeah.
a little heritage that goes back.
That
there.
is really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
The
never
cigars
really
have
was
been in your
into
blood.
cigars when he was. I probably within a couple years of his death was afterwards when I got into cigars more. So
Wow.
wish I would have been into it then. I could have asked him some questions.
So
Yeah.
So you got into cigars, from my understanding, not early on, right?
No.
You weren't like 18, like I need to have a cigar and whatever. So tell us a little bit about your story of getting into cigars.
Yeah, probably I can pinpoint it for a reason. It was probably around 2011. Probably up to that point, I had probably only had about 5 cigars in my life.
Okay.
At weddings, special occasion, things
Yeah.
like that, somebody whipping out a cigar. I can even remember being with people that when I turned down cigars, and I think to myself, who was I then? Right?
Yeah.
And but I remember, this is crazy. I was working. Speaking of founders, I was working for a public policy think tank headquartered in Tallahassee, Florida, called the James Madison Institute. I don't know if Founder Cigars has a Madison, but maybe they might want to add one. That'll be one for a future
Yeah,
collection.
yeah.
But anyway, I started working there in 2008, and we were in this little office park that was just kind of I hate to say it, but kind of a dumpy little office park. right? I mean, it was okay. It was like okay, average or kind of average office. We moved to this beautiful building in downtown Tallahassee. It was actually the oldest building in Tallahassee, built in 1830, Greek revival structure. These beautiful Greek columns.
Wow.
And anyway, I had a really nice office in there. I was the head of development. I think maybe right around that time I was like the vice president of the organization, vice president of development, and
Nice.
and so I'm walking around one day. Everybody was kind of gone. We were probably in that building a few months, and I'm just like admiring the building. Like I can't believe I work here. Like this is awesome. We also had two really nice decks outside. And I don't know something. This is like a really weird, but literally something just came in my mind, and I was like, I feel like you got to smoke a cigar if you work in an office like this.
I mean, yeah.
I would have probably thought the same thing.
Right?
Yeah.
So like the next day, I asked my boss.
It only makes sense.
It only makes
I
sense.
said, hey, would it be okay? And I knew that he liked an occasional cigar. I said, hey, would it be cool if we had like maybe we invited some friends over after work one day and like we didn't even have any furniture on the patio yet because we had just been in there and just tried to, we were
Yeah.
pinching pennies.
Yeah.
We had raised a bunch of money to buy that building, and so we kind of would pull these just these little fold up chairs outside. Anyway, he said, yeah, I could do it. Right? He's like, just clean up after yourselves and don't burn the building down. And I said, cool. All right. So I invited a few friends. Somebody brought a, handle of bourbon or something. We sat out on one of the decks, enjoyed cigars on a beautiful, I don't even know if it was fall or spring or whatever, but it was a beautiful like time of year weather. And man, we had a great time. And we were like, let's do that again next month. Let's do that again next month. And all of a sudden, every month, people came to expect that and all of a sudden we had 5 people, we had 10 people, we had 20 people.
Wow.
And it was really great. And 90% of the people smoked cigars. And most of them were people who worked in the political process in Tallahassee. Maybe they worked for, like a lobbying organization, or maybe they worked for a legislator or whatever. Because a lot of like kind of young professionals in Tallahassee, and so that was cool. And what was great, if you have an organization, cigars are a really great way to. By the way, what was really cool is this was not like an event sponsored by the organization. It was just like we were using the building
Yeah.
grounds. But when people are walking through your building, and that work in a process that you're also trying to influence,
Yeah. They
know,
wonder what's going on.
they start asking questions. Hey, what do you guys do here? What's the latest, white paper you're putting out? What's the latest event you got going on? And then you start, people start having an itch. So my boss actually, even though he really never partook in that, he went home to his family at 5 o'clock. We were gathering, and he kind of, liked that we were bringing people in. And Love of the Leaf, by the way, that turned me into a monthly cigar smoker. And then soon enough, I was a weekly cigar smoker, and I probably smoke close to as many as you guys do now.
Yeah.
That is one great way to start a community right there.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
it's of course it's a testament to you, but it's also a testament to cigars and what cigars can do for people, with people,
Yeah.
all the above. Because it's not like you know, threw a party, had a bunch of beer, and then everybody got drunk and they had a good time, so they had another one, right? I see it. That's
Yeah,
good,
you did
Ash.
say
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
It ashed on the table, not on me. And
Ah,
that was,
that's
You're
clean.
not as much as of an asshole.
You're like
as me.
half an asshole then. But it brings people together. It makes people happy. It's not like you're getting together to like our lovely TikTok audience. Oh, we're getting together to get a buzz off cigars. Yeah, like you got together to have great conversations. I'm sure you had great conversations with all those different people that came.
Right.
And
absolutely.
you just everybody loved the community that was building there and the people that they were around and just how it made them feel. So they came back, and that's exactly what
I also
why.
think, to be honest, I think cigars are for more mature conversations.
Exactly.
And I don't diss anything. We've all had our young party days and go to bars and whatever, do shots and all that kind of stuff. But I can't. What I really like about, I just really stopped. It was hard for me to have like really, more. I hate to use the word intellectual, but more mature conversations in a bar, where when you're just drinking. Because the more you drink, the more intoxicated you get, or whatever,
Right.
and that's fine. And a cigar doesn't take you there. You might drink while you're having a cigar, but usually it's kind of a slow process, slower conversation, and I just think it's kind of a it's very social. It's very mature conversation,
Mhm.
and also it really, as you guys know, when you go to a cigar lounge, you can walk into a cigar lounge by yourself, and you can make friends.
Absolutely.
And
Every
you-
time, no matter what lounge it is.
Yeah, and you know what? It doesn't matter who's in there. We live in such polarizing times in a sense.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what people's political party is. It doesn't matter what they do for work. It doesn't matter whether they're rich or poor. Like
Mhm.
everybody
Yeah.
is like on equal status in the cigar lounge. I
Mhm.
feel like.
It's so
One of
true.
my favorite things about the industry. Absolutely love it.
Mhm.
I think another thing, kind of switching topics a little bit. Another thing I love about the industry is hearing people's stories and the struggles they went through. Um, so I mean, with that, I gotta ask, what is a big struggle that you've gone through your fearless journey,
Mhm.
and how have you overcome that struggle or struggles?
That's good. I mean, I would go back to so on when you're saying my fearless journey, I think you mean my whole life, right?
Right, and
Yeah,
we'll call it
that's
challenges instead of
yeah.
struggles. Challenges.
You know, when I started college at the University of Central Florida, UCF, I lived up to the "You Can't Finish" acronym because I didn't finish there, and
I didn't know that was an acronym, but that's
yeah,
pretty
Didn't
yeah.
know. I was like, wait,
Well, I
what?
think yeah, so when I was going there, first of all, I ended up changing majors, so then I became to a point where I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do next. I was running up, I had student loans, I was running up credit card debt, also I was working part time, and so all of a sudden I found myself in like some debt, and I said, you know what, and I'm not really sure, what my next major is going to be and what I really want to do, so let me take some time off school and let me work full time now. Well, I worked full time, thinking I'd save money and pay off my bills. Well, about 6, 8 months later, I was in more debt. And I was like, how did this happen? Well, it happened because I wasn't going to school and I was working and I was, going out more and spending money. So I
right.
learned at that point that it's not how much you make, it's how much you spend. Right. It's
Yeah.
like the Dave Ramsey, philosophy or whatever. And so I had just had a kind of come to Jesus moment and wrote down the pros. But my parents were like, why don't you move back home to South Florida? I was in Central Florida then. And I was like, I'm not moving back home. And I was the oldest of three boys. And I kind of felt like I was, when you're the oldest, you kind of feel like you're the one out, pioneering for the other
Yeah.
guys, right? And
Right.
like now I'm gonna be the failure going backwards, like going back to mom and dad's house. I'm
Right.
out of school, whatever. But finally I just looked at it, and I was like, man, this is just getting worse. So I wrote down a whole list of pros and cons. Like, what are the pros of moving back home? What are the cons? The only con was moving back home with
Yeah.
mom and dad.
Yeah.
The pros were like the whole page, and I was like, damn it, so but it was one of those that you just had to take a step back so that you could take some steps forward. And by the way, I moved back home, and then my dad was like, why don't you finish your AA at the community college? I was like, I'm not going to the community college. I just had too much pride
Yeah.
to want to go to the community college. Then I thought about it for a few weeks or whatever. Then I went to the community college, and I talked to the admissions. And long story, I came back home and I told my dad, I really don't, I still don't want to go. Like, I just feel like a loser going to community college. I
Right.
just, and by the way, bad perception because I ended up going there and I finished my AA there, and the classes were smaller than UCF. The teachers seemed like they cared more. They weren't just doing their research. They really, it was a great experience. And that's when I decided to become a history major and a Spanish minor. And then I ended up deciding not to go back to UCF and just staying living at home the next 2 years and finishing at FAU, Florida Atlantic University, Go Owls, where I finished. I was
Nice.
also, by the way, within a few months of living at home, I was able to get back to zero. Squared off all my dets because I
Nice.
didn't have to pay rent.
Right. That's
Had
awesome.
a lot of free food at home, right? And so again, it teaches you some lessons there. And anyway, but even with that, I thought, you know what? Why go back into that situation? I'm doing really good here. My grades are now back to A's and maybe A's and B's, and I was getting some C's and D's at UCF, and which was not my typical, what I was growing up doing. So anyway, but that was a great learning lesson. And then all of a sudden, I come home one day and I tell my parents, hey, I'm going to. I didn't ultimately get a PhD. I got a master's degree, but I said, hey, I decided I want to be a college professor in history, so I'm going to get a PhD. My parents were like, "You were just out of college. You're like dropping out of college for a year. Now you want to go get a PhD?"
There you
So
go.
anyway, but I went to the University of Maryland and got a master's in history. When I got to the end of the master's, that's when I decided to do something different. But I'd say that was really a big thing. I will say this though: after I finished grad school, I went on a month trip to Europe with one of my brothers, thinking, "Hey, I've got a job lined up." Um, I was just racking up the credit cards on the Europe trip, not even
Right.
thinking twice. All of a sudden, I come back and I'm like,
I'm
you know,
back in debt.
back in more debt than I was before. And I was like, I can't believe this happened again. I just really
Oh my
can't
It's
believe
too
this
gosh.
happened
easy.
again.
It's too easy
And
with the credit
so
cards.
that, I got into a little program where I could pay that debt off fast. And I actually didn't own a credit card for a couple years after that because I was just too scared to.
Yeah.
I was like,
Makes
Probably a
sense.
good idea.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, ever since I got one, which was around probably 2007, I've always paid off my credit card every month. So if you
Nice.
use it, pay it off. And so that was a big learning lesson for me, I think, on the financial side.
I see.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Very nice.
awesome. Well, I know I'm getting a little close here. And we haven't done this in a while. We haven't had a guest on in a while, so I'm excited that my fingers are starting to get a little warm.
You guys
my
know what
band's
time
about
it
to burn.
is.
Guys, we got some finger burning questions for our brother Francisco over here. Hambone, I will respect the randomizer, but I do have one. I'm gonna go second. I
Okay.
do have one that I need to make sure I ask
Okay.
because I've got a little inside information that I need to know
Inside
how
information.
things happened with my man Francisco on a certain situation. So go ahead, ask the first finger burning questions. I am
Burning.
burning
He's
to know.
burning.
You know,
It's got inside information.
I do.
All right. First finger burning question. What is your favorite book on success and why?
Oh,
On success, see,
what a
that's
great
good-
question.
I have to say James Clear's Atomic Habits.
Oh, I read Atomic
Yeah,
I
and
read
I
Atomic
actually-
Habits as well.
Yeah,
Nice.
I used that
Boom.
class. I used that book in my classes in Guatemala, and my students love it. Everybody loves it. I used it in Fearless Journeys in our book club. I think about it all the time.
You know,
Yeah.
the analogy that gets me the most in that book is the one with the bike. It's in
Yeah.
the beginning
Yeah, very beginning.
with the bikes and how
The
they
English
started.
biking team, I think.
Right,
Yeah.
something like that, and they started cleaning like all the little spokes, all the little gears, and everything, and then that team ended up winning because they focused on the small details and all that. It was
Tiny changes, remarkable results, or
yeah,
big results, or
yeah.
something. That's
I
the
was
title
like-
of the book.
because every time I read that, I've read it twice now. Every time I read that section, I'm like, where are my tiny gears and things that in my life that I need to start oiling every day
Yep.
instead of focusing on the big things? And it's an interesting thing for sure. So that's
really
a
is.
great answer.
That's a great answer. Yeah.
By
I
the
like
way,
that
it's
one.
funny because my students ask me when we make your list: good habits, bad habits, and neutral habits. They said, Francisco, where do you put your cigar habit? I said, move on. Next question.
Next question. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good point.
So,
So,
the inside
The
information.
inside information. It is one of our questions, but I
Uh-oh.
needed to make sure it was brought up. So I've heard from a certain questionnaire that we supplied about a pairing that is your favorite pairing you've ever had. May not be your favorite pairing that you always have, but the favorite pairing you've ever had. I got to hear about this.
Well, that was a very difficult question because I just felt like I just had to think of one.
Well, but
You know?
did you have that one?
Yeah. So this is the 1926 Padron with Zacapa.
Well, I was thinking the other one that you
What
said.
did I send?
You sent the Andalusian Bull with some Pappy Van Winkle.
Yeah.
Oh, I sent you two actually.
You did. That's
I
what
did
I'm
send you
saying.
two,
That's what
yes.
I'm saying. You.
Okay. So
This
yeah,
happened, right?
yeah.
Oh, okay. For a second, I
happened.
was
so you
like,
gotta- so you gotta
wait.
know about this one.
Well, I was worried because I was like, wait, did he just say that's what his favorite would be?
Okay. So what I said was.
I was like, wait a
let's
second.
get to this.
Because I'm so excited to hear. Like, that's a really good pair.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I ever had an Andalusian bull, and also the first time I ever had Pappy,
Wow.
and I had them together. And
that would be a day.
and you should, did I tell you who I had it with?
No.
So you may be familiar with Congressman Madison Cawthorn, right?
Heard of him.
He's in a
Yes.
wheelchair. He's also a big cigar smoker. I've had him on my podcast. So I met him through a mutual
I
friend.
watched that one.
I met him through a mutual friend, my friend Lance Barnett, and Lance was working on his campaign in 2020 and said, hey, Lance listened to my podcast and said, hey, would you like to have Madison on your podcast? I said, I'd love to, but I said, Lance, I don't do politics on my podcast. I stick to entrepreneurial stories, but I said, I'm familiar with Madison and his story. I'm not familiar at that point with every detail, but when he was 18 years old, he was in a horrific car accident in Florida, actually, but he's from North Carolina. Put him in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Hope maybe there'll be a miracle one day and some new technology, and it won't be the rest of his life, but for now it is. And so anyway, I said I know he's got a story there. Tell me a little bit more. Well, he had started a real estate investment firm. He had become a motivational speaker because of what had happened to him with this accident. So anyway, I said, yeah, that's great. So he said, why don't you, I love Asheville, North Carolina, and Madison lives just a little south of there in Hendersonville, I've gone there now a few times, and I really love Hendersonville. And it's kind of Main Street USA. And by the way, if you're in Hendersonville, there's a great cigar lounge, both in Asheville and Hendersonville, called Casablanca Cigars.
Okay.
And the man who owns it, Sam Sohail, he has a hell of a story. I had him on about 4 episodes later. I went back to Hendersonville
Nice.
and I interviewed him, and we've become good friends. And he's a great guy. And he's from Morocco originally. Amazing story.
Wow.
Well, anyway, but Matt, Lance said, okay, so come on up. So I came up in August of 2020, and maybe on the way up, I said, where are we going to do it? He says, well, Madison's a big cigar smoker. There's this cigar lounge, Casablanca in Hendersonville, that he really likes, and he's actually a member there. And so maybe we can do it there. I said, wait, I'm going to smoke cigars with Madison Cawthorn. I'm going to on a podcast. That's awesome. Let's do it. So we did it. We had a great conversation. It's one of my favorites. There's a lot of wisdom there for a man who just turned 25 years old at the time. And so I think it's really great. And, I know a lot of people love him, hate him, whatever the politics are. But one thing he said on the podcast that was great, I started the podcast to say, let's talk about cigars first so we can get why we're here and everything. And, he said a really great thing. He said, we live in, like I said before, polarized times, divided times. But he goes, when you have a cigar and you go to a cigar lounge or whoever you're sitting down with, you're forced into at least a 45-minute conversation, with somebody. And it doesn't matter what your background is or what your politics are or whatever, you can have a really great conversation and kind of have a bond after that. And so, it's the love of the leaf, that kind of bonds us. And so it was really great. So that was really cool. So I say that was August of 2020. I ended up meeting Sam Sohail, the owner of the lounge, later that night, had a great conversation with him. I went back up in November, and the couple days leading up to the election day. And after they had the big victory party with, a few hundred people, I got invited back to Madison's house that night with his family and close friends. There was probably 40 or 50 of us sitting around, and we were out on the deck out there. And he grabs me, actually. He grabs a couple other people that he knew were cigar smokers. He says, hey, come on out here, come outside. He says, one of my dad's friends gifted me this box of Andalusian bowls like a couple months ago, but told me I couldn't smoke them until election night. So he shared those with us. I still have the wrapper because it was a special moment.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then he brought out a bottle of Pappy and poured it. So that was really cool. So I think, first of all, that's an amazing cigar. One of my top 5 for sure. Maybe my favorite.
Nice.
Andalusian bull.
I haven't had that one.
And then
I've had one so far. I have one in my humidor sitting actually.
Yeah, and then to have that pairing with the Pappy and to have it on a. By the way, when he was elected that day, he was the youngest member of Congress. It's kind of an asterisk on who was really the youngest ever, because you have to be 25 years old. But there was a guy back in like the late 1800s who was like 22, whose father died, and then they appointed him. So there's like a couple people that are in that range, but he's one of the maybe 3 or 4 youngest ever. So that was also cool, to be there like at a historic moment, I thought.
That is really. I'm glad that I engineered this finger burning question because that's an awesome. I wanted to make sure
inside information came in handy.
Yeah, almost very few people know that story, but
Well, now everybody knows. No.
That is fascinating.
The whole world is watching.
Wow, that's very cool.
That is. Well, Hambone, I'm about to burn. I don't want to smoke this band.
You're band burning right now.
It's getting close.
Take that thing off.
It's got some room.
Don't be that guy that smokes the band.
I'm not smoking the band. I promise. It's got some room.
I've seen that before. It's not a good look.
Interesting too.
Was that in the mirror? No, just kidding.
I'm like that too.
Oh, we got an asshole over
excuse
here.
my language too. But
we got another asshole.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how we want to leave the band on until we have to take it off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
kind of interesting.
I did
that.
that.
You don't need it.
Yeah.
You definitely don't need it.
Yeah. Other than when you're saving them.
Right.
Afterwards.
Right. Yeah.
Like we do. Okay, so third and last finger/band burning question. I like this one. What is the best resource that has helped you reach the success that you have today?
Ooh.
Best resource and why?
That's a deep one.
That's really good. That's tough to answer because in some ways it's your life experience all together. But I also,
that's the best answer I've ever heard.
Okay, so I won't give the second part.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. But that is a good answer.
Just
all of the life experiences.
Yeah, I think also like all the other people that are formative to that life experience, and also the people that become resources. Like for me, it's people I've worked with, but it's also people I've had on the podcast, entrepreneurs I've connected with. So just a lot of different resources combined, but that you kind of. By the way, when I say Fearless Journeys, the other thing I like to tell people, and this is why I also suggest people join the community, because no one should take a journey alone, and no one does take a journey alone. Have you ever met an entrepreneur? I mean, really,
Nobody's
could-
self-made.
Yeah, exactly. And we have this idea, and I have this idea a lot too that in America we believe that you kind of have the pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
and I think that's more to do with like your work ethic, right? Like you pull your boot, but that also gives you the idea of this like that you did it on your own. And that's a false idea. Like nobody does it on their own, whether it's your parents or friends or mentors or
Yeah.
whoever.
Nobody has
right?
ever been self-made.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Agree.
Agreed.
I like that a lot.
That's
was
that's
perfect.
my favorite answer to that question.
I think that was
for
probably
sure.
my favorite answer as well.
That's a great way to cap it off. I mean, it's been a fantastic 2 episodes that we've filmed here today. I mean, these Founders Cigars have been good. I mean, they
It's
obviously
amazing. It's really
obviously
good.
we've
My
been
first time having it.
struggling through them. I mean,
Best barber pole I've ever smoked.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's for sure.
How many barber? I feel like there was some like. Was that the first barber pole you've ever had? I feel like okay. I was like,
Yeah,
there's
it
something
is.
in there. I was
Yeah.
surprised for a second.
You're like, oh, nice, cool.
And then
so
I
it's
was,
the first and only. Well,
nice.
first.
Well, do you like barber poles?
No, I really enjoy it.
Have you been
It's
able
really
to
good.
see any difference in them?
Yes, yes, I have, and I got a lot of that nice flavor from both of the different
Nice. The
wrappers.
Habanos and the Connecticut.
right?
Yeah, that's
Especially when
awesome.
I smoked the glass, so
That's awesome.
that was enjoyable. But
Well, we definitely enjoyed some Buffalo Trace. So
Yeah.
nobody can find them Buffalo Trace. If you want to like send us some, we'll drink them on like every podcast. So just send them on if you want to. But most of all, Francisco, we appreciate you making the trip and all that sort of stuff, making this happen. It's been a long time coming, and it was really fun.
for
Oh,
sure.
this was awesome. Thanks for the invitation and keep up what you guys do. I love it. I see you guys, on a path forward and up and just influencing more people, maybe to try cigars, but also just to learn more about cigars. I think it's awesome.
Most definitely, Francisco. Let everyone know where they can find you.
You can go to fearlessjourneys.org. That's where you can learn more about the community. I also have a free newsletter, so you can go to fearlessjourneys.org. /subscribe for the newsletter, and then also if you any of the podcast platforms, including YouTube, you can go to Agents of Innovation to find that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm a member of the newsletter. I get it, and it's incredible. I love it.
Yeah,
I love your
thank you.
newsletter. Yeah.
That's
Well,
awesome.
I also do some group trips, so we gotta. I was telling Adam a little earlier. We're gonna have to find a way to do a group trip to some cigar town factory, maybe Nicaragua, the DR, or something.
We can make it work. We can make
Definitely.
it
Have
work. You
dreams.
guys stay
Yeah.
tuned. Don't you worry.
No doubt.
We'll make it work, guys. Thank you so much for listening, watching, all the above. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We love you guys so much. We are all over now. We're on, Pinterest,
everything.
Instagram,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, TikTok, of course. That's what we do. But anywhere, guys, we appreciate you guys watching, listening so much. Make sure that you check us out on our website now, www.dreamercigars.net. We have our own newsletter as well where we got some deals and stuff for you.
And I'm a member of that.
There you go. See,
No doubt.
everybody's just supporting each other here. So, guys, I think it's time to go ahead and clap it out. What you think?
Let's do it. Thank you, Francisco.
Let's do it. Bingo. Go Gators. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't ever. I'm gonna throw you in the
Cut
pool.
that. Good job. That was awesome.
Thank you. Guys, I want to tell you about Founders Cigars. They are a veteran-owned company out of Minneapolis, and they do support the Warriors as well.
All proceeds do go to Cigars for Warriors, so check them out.
Definitely check out Founders Cigars anywhere you can. They are in retailers in the Minnesota area and online. Check them out.
Hi Dreamers, this is Nicholas Perdomo with Perdomo Cigars.
Dreamers Cigars podcast. You have to watch it.
It's really great for us to be on the Dreamer Cigar podcast.
These two guys are just phenomenal at what they do.
It's always great to talk about cigars, talk about tobacco, and just the lifestyle that we have in this industry.
Adam and Eve are above the cut when it comes to introducing new people to cigars.
Nicholas Perdomo and myself, Obi-Wan Perdomo, Chris Harper, love being on here. This is the future. This is great. This is the kind of thing that we want to see, and you guys are interested in. You guys love.
Dreamer Cigar podcast is people who don't spend their time on podcasts to kind of try cigars in a new way and be part of the community to a greater degree and learn about how the cigar works. So for us at ATL Cigar Co, it's really fantastic to be a part of this and see where these guys go.
And make sure that you guys follow Dreamer Cigars podcast. Thank you and have a wonderful day.